Hi, this is Chloe here at Inner Whispers. Today I'm going to do a video review of the Angel Tarot cards by Doreen Virtue and Radleigh Valentine, and with artwork by Steve A. Roberts. This deck is published by Hay House, who also published all of Doreen Virtue's other Angel and Oracle decks, and like those decks it comes in a very sturdy box with a pull-off top, and it comes with a detailed little guidebook which is quite thick. It's far more than a little white book. There are scans of each of the cards and a little description and additional meanings. There's also a very brief description of the Celtic cross spread and of a basic 3-card spread, and Doreen Virtue's typical statements about how to cleanse your deck and ask cards questions and consecrate cards and shuffle the deck and so forth. As for the cards themselves, they are of quite a thick cardstock, fairly large, so I find I can shuffle them hand over hand like that, but not sideways on, and it really is quite a thick chunk of cards that you have there. I can't, half the pack drops out of my hand if I try to shuffle them that way. The backs show Archangel Michael and are a very pretty blue, non-reversible. As for the rest of the cards, these are all done by the same artist, which is very different to a lot of Doreen Virtue's Angel decks, and something which I appreciate because I like consistency. The artwork is a sort of mix of photographic and then painted, and with quite luminescent, translucent sort of colours, and many of the cards are really quite beautiful. All the majors, as you can see, give a title and then the Archangel that is associated with this card, as well as then a little description at the bottom. And I think the key phrases in this deck are really quite good most of the time, and do make it so that it's an appropriate deck for a beginner, for example, because you do have those prompts either to prompt your intuition, or if you don't know the card meanings very well, to act as a reminder. Here we have Archangel Michael, who, as I say, is also on the back of the cards, and I'll keep that card for later because that has something to do with one of my few Grinches about this deck. So, as I say, there's a very mystical, magical feel to the cards and the artwork. Some I don't think work quite as well. For example, I'm not very keen on this Angel in the Lovers, personally. It strikes me, I don't know, looks a bit like a drag queen, which is not what I imagine for Archangel Raphael. But a lot of the cards really are very beautiful, quite powerful, and they do still bring a fair bit of the traditional symbolism of tarot decks into them. One of my minor gripes, as I say, is the fact that, for example, Archangel Michael is on 2 of the cards of the major arcana, but he hasn't even changed clothes or positions or anything, and I think something more could have been done with that, really, but that's a personal opinion. There are a lot of cards which, as I say, are truly delightful. I really like this Strength card with the beautiful female angel and this huge, great big tiger, I think, that she's on, as well as the little doves of peace. So it's a real nice mix with the rainbow as well and the mountains in the background. A rather different perspective on what in traditional decks would be the Hanged Man, called here Awakening, and with Archangel Gabriel saying, look at things from a different perspective. There's a lot of renaming in this deck, and so, for example, Death has been renamed Release, but still says the end of a phase or a situation, spiritual transformation, and a time to move on. Temperance has become Balance, and the Devil becomes Ego, which I think works quite well altogether. And once again, as I say, the key phrases are quite good, and they really do reflect traditional interpretations, so a false sense of entrapment, being overly focused on material things, negative or fear-based thoughts. Likewise, the Tower becomes life experience, which I have to admit I find this image very soft and gentle. However, the key phrases do bring a bit more force and energy to the card, a significant life event, a powerful revelation that leads to change. Time to spread your wings. It's quite a nice soft way of putting it, but it still has some of that feel of the Tower. So here we have the rest of the cards of the majors. Judgment is also renamed, becoming Renewal. And we have Archangel Michael yet again in the world. It's fair enough, Archangel Michael really is an important archangel, and here we have him in the position that, well, I guess I should show from the back, that is on the backs of the cards. But once again, I really feel like they could have changed his clothes or something. At least he's not exactly the same as in the other two. As for the suits, these have been renamed for the elements, so we have fire instead of wands. And once again, title at the top, keywords at the bottom, a magical image in the middle, and fire is represented by dragons as a magical creature. Overall, I think the cards work quite well. There's a fair bit to allow intuitive interpretations, and that matches traditional Rider-Waite imagery, so that it becomes a fairly easy deck to read out of the box, so to speak, and that it would fit quite well with most books for beginners for tarot. I really like the multicultural aspect of this deck as well. And some of the images, I don't know. It's a personal choice whether you like them or not, I guess. The suit of cups becomes water, and here we meet with mer people as well as sea creatures. There's quite a few dolphins and whales and so forth, as well as the mer creatures. Once again, the symbolism reflects traditional ideas and I think works quite well. Eight of water or cups, a desire to move on, the search for something more meaningful, spiritual and emotional growth. As I say, I think the key phrases work very well as well. And some slightly creepy looking mer people, less of a family feel than a normal 10 of cups, but still. The suit of swords becomes air and is represented by unicorns. And this is perhaps the suit, other than the fact that some of the cards once again are stunningly beautiful, it's the suit which I think perhaps works least well for traditional interpretations, traditional symbolism, because a unicorn's horn doesn't really cut both ways as a sword does, and is associated more, I guess, purifying, is related to cutting through, cutting to the quick of things, cutting to the heart of things. There is still traditional ideas, for example in the Four of Air, the idea of rest, indicated by a unicorn asleep. These unicorns do seem to be getting into some kind of fight. And once again, I do like the phrases. For example, here it says, an unwise choice. Learn what you can from this situation. Review everyone's motives. This unicorn looks rather uncomfortable in a boat, but still it retains that traditional symbolism of the Six of Swords. And I'm not quite sure what to make of the Seven of Air, where the unicorns look almost as though they're on a roundabout. strange image, shall we say. Once again, here in the Eight of Air, I don't really see that sense of being trapped, but it is mentioned in the key phrases. And I blogged about this card asking whether unicorns do have nightmares. Finally, we have the Suit of Pentacles, which becomes Earth and is represented by fairies, which is an interesting choice. I suppose they are nature spirits, so in that sense, the earth spirits around us. But the fact that they all have wings does sort of detract a little bit from that connection, perhaps. Still, as with the other suits, there's plenty to see in the cards themselves to help with interpretation, as well as useful and relevant key phrases. So really, a big question is the artwork your cup of tea? And then, do you like or dislike having key phrases on your cards? And do you like angels? The answers to those questions will really determine whether or not this deck is appropriate for you. I've put the courts separately because I think they merit a bit of attention. Each one has the kind of title, Page of Fire, Page of Wands, and then 4 adjectives to describe this character as a person. So here, outgoing, creative, confident, mischievous. And then there's also some key phrases at the bottom which describe more the situation that this card might describe. And I think that's quite an interesting way of going about it, quite a useful way, so that you can see both person or character traits as well as potential situations that the card could describe. That works well, I think. And the characters are quite interesting as well. But I'm not quite sure what to make of a dragon that has peacock feathers instead of scales. However, the King of Fire is a bit of a peacock. You know, they say charismatic, but often quite likes to see himself and be seen. So we see the same in the different suits. And once again, a little quibble. Here we have obviously the same character who was Archangel Michael in the same clothes as the Knight of Water. Whether or not you like that is a personal decision, I guess. But I do think these cards are beautiful, for the most part. Some don't work for me quite as well. This guy kind of reminds me of the angel in the Lovers card. And we still have more unicorns accompanying our Court of Air. I really do like a lot of the key phrases, as I say. I think that they're quite insightful. King of Air, for example, speak your mind with confidence, seek out professional advice, balance mental and emotional considerations. They're all interesting comments and commentaries on these courts. Here I don't see very much within the symbolism to represent traditional ideas around the Page of Earth perhaps, but the adjectives and the key phrases are useful and a lot closer to traditional interpretations. So overall, this would work quite well, especially as a deck for someone who's already interested in Doreen Virtue's work or who is interested in angels and magical creatures, and for anyone who likes the artwork and doesn't mind having keywords and key phrases. I hope you found this review useful and that you'll come back again soon. In the meantime, please listen to your own inner whispers.